This is the XNC Podcast, your Xbox newscast featuring Colteastwood, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, XNC Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the XNC Podcast live.
Well, welcome. I've watched that intro like 40 sometimes, and I still think I'm such a dork. But welcome to the show. I'm so excited to be here with one of my really good friends, a true life friend that I've met in person, which is rare to say these days on the internet. xCloud, Tim Dog, how are you, buddy?
Good, man. Happy to be here. You're an awesome guy. This is going to be a good podcast because it's going to be just me and you, and we're going to be talking, and we have some really good conversations, and we have some really good fun, some crazy topics and some fun topics, but it's going to be a good show. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it will be good. You know, what Tim's kind of alluding to, we get on the phone and we have some crazy conversations that we could put those on the air and it'd be a good time, but we're always talking about the news that's going behind the scenes and stuff. And yeah, there is some crazy stuff to talk about today. Shout out to the mods. We got Boss Mod, Lethal Papa in the house. We got Udani Kazada and Happy Bomb who are taking care of the chat, and Risky for the Biscuit, Ashtray Gaming, and so many more. I wish I could just sit here and read all of them, but I do want to read a couple names off Tim Dog. I got some people who've been with the channel for a while. Shout out to channel member veterans, Zenner White, Poochie, Wolf Assassin, DeBlue, Devario2 Gaming, Fault Lines, Wreak Havoc, Rodney Coots, Gaz, Dark CMF, Beta Max, Dante Moody, Alex Wilson, Lord Starkiller, Robert Jackson, Gamer McFly, Assassin Lupa, Nanopolymus, Suicide King, Yodana Kazada, Phil, KY Bob, William Lanza, and Matt Burns. And these are people we talk to pretty often. If you guys don't know, Tim Dog and I were together for like a long time on RDX podcast. And so I still talk to the RDX guys every single day, but like Tim's saying, we don't have to fight for a chance to talk tonight because it's just you and I, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I've picked up the phone. You call me, I call you. We have long conversations. I have a long drive home, so sometimes I'll just pick up the phone and call you, a dealer, or somebody, that in the community. I talk to a bunch of people, but yeah, we always have a lot of stuff to talk about. It's always good conversation. I met you, and you were a total gentleman. We hung out. We were supposed to have it was going to be like the best thing ever, the plan, and then COVID came, and it seems like we're really struggling to get back to that point. The more important stuff's taking precedence, obviously,
Yeah.
but if we can get back to days where it's just having fun, I hope to see you again, maybe next E3 next year.
I know we thought 2022 could be the year to come
We
back.
had it set it up. Well, we had 19 set up. We were
20. Yeah, we had
like
20.
20.
Yeah. I was all
20,
ready to go
20.
for 20. Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. And you're right. There are more important things going on in the world. And we're going to get into some crazy stuff when we talk about what's more important in the world. It's been absolutely crazy. I got to ask you before we get rolling in, as people kind of roll into the chat here, Tim, what game have you been playing? What's been keeping you happy on the video game side of things?
Well, I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077. The last week has been a week where I had a ton of stuff to do, family wise. Certain things that I had to get done. So I haven't been playing that much. But tonight I'm going to get into Cyberpunk 2077 and give it one final chance. I've given it about 5 to 8 hours, I would say. I don't know. I would say 5 to 6 hours maybe. but I'm really enjoying it. I just kind of feel that I should be playing Elden Ring because as everyone else is playing Elden Ring in the world and loving it. And it does look really cool. But yeah, I've been playing that and I'm struggling with it as far as I love it. I like it. That's so much potential, but I'm kind of afraid that it's going to fall on its face.
You're talking about Cyberpunk's going to fall on its face?
Yeah, like I'm really into it. Like I think it's really good, but I don't know. Like it's good enough to where I want to keep going and finish the game. Put it that way, because I know if I touch Elden Ring, it's gonna take me over. Or I'm gonna have to finish it, or at least get frustrated and break my controller. But you know, because I heard it's really tough. And I haven't ever played I've been told never to play it by Rand, that I'll go crazy. So it will be my first jab at it. But I heard it's not that hard. It's more or less that you just got to grind a lot.
I've got like 30 hours into Elden Ring. I talked about it a lot last week. I've never put myself in this gaming position where most games you can just kind of crank through it. And when you compare it to Elden Ring, most games just let you blast through the enemies or work your way around them, out button push them or outspeed them, or I think just feels like most games the enemies just let you kill them. And Elden Ring is not that way. An enemy comes up and just says, "You die now." And I've almost given up on it many times.
Really?
Yeah, I saw Water Sleek says 30 hours.
So that's why I mean, listen, yeah, like listen, and this is, I'll admit it. I know that if the game's, I'll struggle with a game and get through it. Like I've done that. But it sounds like it might be like really advanced. Like I might just go crazy and never.
It's crazy because not many games will punish you for dying the way that Elden Ring does. Like most of the time in almost all video games, your punishment is a loading screen. Every time you kill an enemy, your XP is in your pocket, and if you die, your XP spills onto the ground, and you have to go get it. And if you get killed again before you get it, that XP disappears. I'm going to grab the actual stats. Hold on. I don't know how accurate it is. Let me grab my stats real quick on the game because.
Isn't that how Grounded works, or it always stays?
Yes. Yeah, and one of the reasons why I'm playing Elden Ring is because Grounded is a kid-looking game, but it's brutally difficult in its own right. So, oh my gosh, I can't even manage this. I'm trying to get my stats here. I have 2 achievements. It says I have, about 40 hours in the game. Anyway,
wow.
yeah, but a lot of that is like me kind of spinning my wheels and not getting anywhere. And there's many times where I just wanted, like, I was in a cave and I fought several times. I died over and over. I went back and grabbed my XP and went back in and died and went in and got my XP and killed the enemies. And I'm afraid to come around the corner. And I took my, Tim, you'll like this. I took my controller and I set it on the couch. And I was like, I actually wanted to just have fun tonight. So I picked my controller back up and I played Super Mega Baseball on Game Pass.
Oh, I played that. It's good.
I know. I saw. It looks so stupid though. The characters are like, they look so weird.
I know. I like it,
but it kind of has some solid baseball mechanics in there for a little cartoon game. But
it's actually a really good game to try out. And it can be addicting, I could tell right away. I mean, I'm playing Madden franchise, like in addition to like Cyberpunk. Like when the time comes when I just want mindless video games, I'll play something like Madden, and I'm in a franchise, and I'm like 7-0, and I have Saquon Barkley is like going for his own record. And I mean, I have to say, Madden, it also came to Game Pass. It's really good now. And that's what happens with that. Like that game comes out at launch. It's not much different from the 6 months previous that you played it because it had an update. And then you don't touch it for 6 months. You play it, and it's a totally different ball game. It's an upgraded game. So, just a lot more stuff.
So this is the first time the current Madden has come to Game Pass via EA Play, right? This is
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It might have been last year, but yeah, it's
a new
probably the
thing.
first time. And at
That's
this
awesome.
point, it's like, yeah, I hear people say, "Don't tell anybody how good Game Pass is. Everyone knows." Or you're saying the same thing over and over, and it's like I kind of get it at this point. It's like I'm even saying it's. I'm not going to even say much more. Game Pass is it's an absolute essential at this point, and it shouldn't be even. You don't even have to talk it up because it is all that. It's your gaming. It's your gaming options that that fulfill what you have other than what you buy. Like it freaking has galaxies of the Galaxy game that just came out, and that game's awesome. So you have that game and super mega baseball just doesn't stop. The next month, the show, which is like going to be my thing.
Yeah, that'll be the real baseball game again. Yeah, I was just talking to Randall Thor 19 that a year ago today, we were reporting on Twitter and our channels and our podcasts about MLB coming to Game Pass. And there was people who've been really upset lately, Tim, that if you say you like Game Pass, they get mad and insult you and say that you're being paid by Microsoft. Have you seen some of this going on?
Yeah, I saw Broken Gamers. He was like, "Oh, you have to say it 300 times." I mean, I like Broken Gamers, and I'll tell it to him straight to his face. This is the same guy that I remember bragging about CD keys and telling me how PC is the best value in gaming, and now it has something because it has Microsoft attached to it. He don't like it. It's like, come on, But he's a good guy and all, and I'm a fan of his stuff. So, and I would tell him that I actually tweeted him, but I saw him say something. I saw somebody else be like, "We get it. Game Pass is the best ever. How many times are you gonna have to say it?" So yeah, there's a lot of that going on right now. And that's just because, let's be honest, the Game Pass is beating the drum every month. It's like it just comes out. Somebody was saying it had a bad February month in a group DM. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but like you had January where it was just like you were smashed in the face. You know what it is? I guarantee you, and all these people who complain too, and all these people who cry, "Oh, this gaps and stuff like that." They don't keep up with the games. They don't keep up. Like if you're like a really insane gamer, you keep up with the games and play
you keep up with playing everything you want to play. We're actually going to get into a little bit about Game Pass and this Spartacus thing later on the show. We're also going to talk about what you kind of hit on with the PlayStation. If they're kind of seeing a turn where they're buying less physical games. There's a bit of kind of a changeover on that platform. We'll get into why that's happening and how people are changing the way they approach that. I've got a couple supers I got to get to here. One of them is really going to open up our very first topic, which is not normal for this show. But if you think you're going to have a good time tonight, this is the XNC podcast. I'm here with xCloud Tim Dog. He is a podcast veteran in the community. He's been on the Xbox side of things for like 12, 13 years, growing his 50,000 followers on Twitter. And a super good friend, and I podcasted with him for many years. But say hi to Tim Dog in the chat. Hit the like button if you're having a good time. You can on the app, you can just minimize the chat, hit the like button to show your support as we get into the topics. And the first one is going to be kicked off by my good friend from the UK, Nano Polymyth, who gives us an $18 super chat. It says, Dr. Colt and Tim out an hour. Professional surgery appointments are available on call 24/7. He kicks off our first topic. This is crazy video game news, but I'm going to set this up, Tim, and then we're going to kind of run with this. Yesterday, in the evening here in the U.S., a person who I won't name, but a PlayStation diehard fan that's on Twitter, bashing Xbox as much as possible, puffing up the PlayStation, make sure it always looks better than the Xbox, right? I mean, we see this. Sometimes I do the same for Xbox versus PlayStation, but this guy posted a video. And I'm not telling you this because not everybody and not a lot of the audience is on Twitter. A lot of people are different social media platforms, or maybe they don't really use them. But on Twitter, this guy with about 1,500 followers, and I'll kind of spell this out for people who are watching the show or listening to it on demand with audio only. We're not going to show the guy, but this 1,500 followers PlayStation diehard fan video recorded himself in the operating room. He is a registered anesthetist nurse, somebody that puts people under medically and through ventilation. He recorded himself in the OR, showing himself, panned over to the doctors and surgical techs and the patient laying on the table, getting his gallbladder removed, and then pointed the camera to the medical tablet, the clipboard, showing the information, the medical write down of what work he did for this patient, and then said, "I'm out here saving lives while you guys are losing the console war Xbox," something like that. Tim, did you see this go down yesterday? Because there were 400 quote tweets on this guy in an hour or so.
Yeah, he deleted it, and then he left an apology in the morning. Listen, when I saw it, it blew my mind. I'm like, this is how far this stuff can go, and we all joke and stuff, but this, like, what people will do for clout and what people will do for when they think about themselves, I guess, or like something that's going to be funny. Like, there's all sorts of wrongs here. The guy's not wearing gloves. The guy has a cell phone, which anybody knows, and I've seen this, like, it's the dirtiest thing that you can have. It's worse than a toilet, and he has that, and he's 5 feet away. He's 5 feet away from the guy. And he has this crazy get-up outfit. He thumbs up to the thing. I'm like, no way. And I think the guy, Alex, that guy, he's
yeah.
That's how I saw it. He goes, don't tell me this is real. This can't be real. So I looked at it, and then I was like, wow. And then I found out it was real. And then I was reading everything. And I was pretty much there at the start of the realization that this guy did this.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I mean, it's like, I know some guy has, and I feel like the guy, he has a kid and family, but he really screwed up there, and I don't know. I mean, he did something that you can't take back. An apology doesn't really fix that. So
there are screen recorded video where that whole video is captured, and it's almost it's a complete quality. I've seen it circulate again on Twitter. I'm sure it's all other places. Some big name influencers and YouTubers and other people in the community were calling this guy out. And to kind of give you guys an idea why someone would do this. Of course, if you're constantly on social media bragging about how your piece of plastic is better than another, people are going to assume that you don't have a life. And you get the situation where this person felt threatened enough or hyped up enough, hopped up and in the moment where, okay, let me explain to you guys. I have 3 really good friends that live next to me that are CRNAs. They're a nurse anesthetist, and their job is when you come into the hospital, they give you an IV, they give you the correct medication, they put you to sleep, and they put a breathing tube in. So, and they stand there and they monitor you, supervised by an anesthesiologist. So I think this guy is a nurse anesthetist. And it's a very, very important job. You have to talk to the patient. You have to know everything about what they can or can't have, right? It's an important job. And once you get them under and they're being worked on by their doctor, you can hang back. But he was in the OR. And this moment came to him where he wanted to brag about his profession to show that he was better. Because this guy went to 6 years of school. He did a residency in hospitals and doctors' offices. And he's worked for I don't know how many years in this profession, loaded with ethics classes and training, and still thought this was the moment to console war.
Yeah, this definitely puts a strange light on the console war, to the fact that you just said all that stuff, and in a blink of an eye, he jeopardized everything. He jeopardized his job. He jeopardized his license, I would think. He jeopardized the customer's information. The person could say that they were doxxed, or they could sue him for just doing that. And his claim is, I got permission. I got copyright permission.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get copyright permission. What are you telling
he said he had hospital and patient consent ahead of time.
Yeah, they were part of the console.
Anybody who's laying down getting their stomach, inserted for a gallbladder removal is
what
not
they want to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Listen, it got a little bit larger. We'll take it out, but here's the real thing. Just sign this, because we got to get Xbox. We got to get the Xbox, on the console war. So don't worry about the mask. Don't worry, we'll take it out. Just sign this, though. Just all right. We're gonna make fun of Xbox, and I'm gonna say that I'm in the room. I'm going to show you a thing, and to show it's real, and just sign the dotted line. Yeah, like come on, like this whole thing it's funny in a way, but it's also sad in a way, because
it's really sad.
It just goes to show you how far people will go.
Yeah, there's another layer of it, Tim. The next day, he showed the form, so everybody knew exactly what hospital he works in what country and what city. So people went on to Google and started one-starring the hospital and calling him out for console warring and violating the patient confidentiality. So where he is, and Tim and I won't get into all the details, and anybody who I guess really wanted to dig in, they could do it. But where he lives, they don't have HIPAA because it's not in the US. But there is something very similar in that country. So just he gave an apology video, and I listened to it this morning. I was like, it immediately reminds you that we're all humans, and behind, hiding behind the DualSense 5 or the Xbox controller, there's always a human that has a family or has, loved ones. And we have to remember that. But then again, when it comes to console wars, we all dabble the occasional little jokes, or, like I like to make my jokes with my friends on the side, like in their comments or the replies, because like we have fun with it, but there is a human behind it. And that's kind of he made a really bad judgment call. Really bad.
Listen, man, I've been said that I was a part. I've been said that I've been a part of the console war, but I know better. I know better, and you just got to know better in that situation. And I don't even know. I don't think that you could. He has to be suspended, I would think. I don't want him to lose his job. And Hazador was online. He's like, well, Tim, you're being too wrong. He screwed up. He has to do this, man. And I thought about it, and I'm like, even though he's annoying me that he's coming back at me like this, and I like Hazador, he's right in what he's saying. Like, this isn't, you're dealing with somebody else's life and their information. You're also dealing with the whole entire reputation of the hospital. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So,
yeah.
There's a lot of things that you have to take into account, and I don't know. It's just, listen. Let's be honest. The Sony guys have been a little crazier, I would say, this generation for some odd reason. Whether it was because they were so dominant and making fun of Xbox, and there was no
for 8 or 10 years,
Yeah, and it got to the point where it was like a slam dunk every day. Ha ha ha. Xbox has no games, to where Xbox comes here and they're, kicking teeth in, and you see what they're doing, and then they're crying monopoly. So it's a total 180 of what was going on, and some of the things I guess are breaking at the seams at this point. I don't know what to say. That stuff really can't be. I mean, that you could have a mainstream article wrote about that. Like, I could see like
I'm surprised
MSNBC.
it hasn't.
It might very well, but like, I mean, it's just you got to have some kind of sense there.
It would have been one thing if he was on camera and he turned and someone's like, you could see the operating table and you could tell a patient was laying there. That's patient confidentiality, and you could flip out. But this video was like 20 seconds, and he turned and he put the camera clearly on 95% of the form with all the information. And you can say, if Jeff Jimala was laying there in whatever the guy's name is laying there in the table, and you can say, oh, you can't tell it's him. You can't see his face. You can just tell there's a body there they're working on. Right. But that person's information is on the form. And if that gets back, it's really, really bad. And you know what, Tim, we won't dwell on this too long, but I really hate to see the personal attacks that are bleeding into what was normally a my team is better than your team thing. And the personal attacks have gotten worse and worse.
Yeah, it just seems to get a little vitriol. I guess if that's the word, it's like it should be a little bit. Listen, in my day and age when I used to go back and forth with whether major notes, Xbox executives would read it, but I always knew that there was somebody reading it and that I couldn't, you can't go over the line. I mean, there are times. Listen, I've been posting on social media for a long time, and I've had maybe one moment where I said something and I apologized and I took up. I said I was wrong for it, but you can't. You gotta keep your composure, and not and really stop. Trying to whatever you're doing, you're taking it too far. You got to settle down. This guy definitely has learned a lesson. It's just how far reaching and how much damage he's done is another story. And at this point, I just would tell anybody, both sides, just chill out a little. There's a lot more things going on in this world right now,
especially lately. I mean, this past couple years. And
exactly.
Our lives, like, collectively are always pretty rough. Like, we have great days, right? But life isn't easy. And when someone's knee-jerk reaction over console war is to make a personal attack, that person's super volatile. And I really hope this works out for him, because it doesn't do us any good. Like, it's not a witch hunt or anything. It's just lesson learned.
No, we understand that. Listen, there's always to take this stance here. And I saw that from the replies. But for me personally, I would hope he would learn the lesson. But I can't say, listen, if that was my company, I'd probably want the guy fired. I'm going to be honest. But I don't want anybody to lose food out of their mouth or, but I would be the worst cop, I think, because I would feel bad. I always felt like remorse, and I would be like, "Hey, just go." You can't do that in life. Sometimes you have to have a concrete consequence for something that went way awry. And at this point, it is what it is. We covered it. It's funny, but it's sad in a way. And just to maybe a reminder to the communities, just realize that this is all just fun and games.
Yeah, I know. It's just kind of gotten worse, but I think this guy needs to just chill out, knock his account offline for a little while and wait for the heat to cool down. Hopefully he makes it through it. Like he said, he has a wife and a kid, and there are high stakes. There's super high stakes. Outside of just if an exclusive is coming out, and we are going to get into this now, because there are a bunch of games that are kind of not coming out. They are coming out. There's some new surprises. We're going to get into that. I've got some super chats. We're gonna Dr. Turd has run his course. I hope so. It's so crazy. Moby with the $5 super chat says, Colt, thanks for always having top-notch guests on the XNC podcast. Everybody hit that like button. Thanks, Moby. I like talking to him on Xbox Live. He's a good dude. And, of course, Tim's the best. Nightwolf 3186 with the $5 says, how's it going, fellas? Colt, Tim, great to see you guys tonight. Looking forward to tonight's show. Curious about this comic IP game, which we'll get into in just a few minutes. And Clutch Man 01 with the $5 says, thank you. Thank you. He says, people forget that Double Fine should be working on another major project. Now Psychonauts 2 is out. That's what I'm interested to see. We don't know much about that. Tim, you remember what the Double Fine game is, or what type of game it is?
I think it's a new IP AA direction. It's gonna probably be awesome. Tim Schafer is one of the most unique and talented developers. There's only like one Tim Schafer. There's no duplicate. So I think that whatever he does, it's going to be awesome. But I heard it's a new IP AA.
And it's a multiplayer game, so it's probably going to be like get your 4 friends on the same screen. I'm not sure. Like he does these quirky games. Remember, Tim Schafer molded the whimsical games of the LucasArts era, the Day of the Tentacle, the Monkey Island games. Like he comes from the pedigree of those games. So Psychonauts 2 really surprised me because I didn't like the first one all that much. So yeah, that's awesome. Philippe Prito with the $2 says, happy birthday, Gaz. Halo is awesome. We're also going to talk about Halo on the show today. Tim and I have a lot to say about the state of Halo. Let me look at my topics here before I jump in. We will get in that in just a minute, but we've got one more subject before we get into that. Tim, I want to talk to you about Stalker 2. It saw a major delay, and now it is delayed indefinitely. Would that be the word to use?
Yeah. I actually I know that you know the war is affecting everything. It's affecting Xbox as well. And they had teams. I don't believe not only they had teams in Ukraine of their own, and Microsoft had Ukraine, and they also had the Stalker. So those things are basically. I didn't ask about that, but I was responded to a question like, "How are things?" And it was like 2 years of a pandemic and a war right after it. Teams are affected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, it's probably going to be until you would think that. How could you work under those conditions? First of all, you can't.
Yeah.
There's no way to physically work. So, I think that's off the table for at least until the war will dictate it. If the war goes on, and I'm thinking it's going to be it could be a 3-month, 4-month thing. You probably get the game probably in if like that's
a full year later.
I my opinion on the war, and this is totally opposition, is that it's going to go long. So it could go a whole year. It could go, who knows? But until that ends, that's when those teams can start working and reestablishing the game. I'm sure they're working in like maybe a 10% case, but these people are actually,
or if they even are, I mean, they're in Kyiv, or Kyiv.
Yeah,
I don't know how you say that, but that's the place in Ukraine everyone's been talking about since this all started. So they can't do anything.
So basically, with where they are, the men that are there, they probably have a rifle in their hand right now. That's the reality of it, and they're probably well embedded, and they're fierce fighters. I listen to the courageous, all their boxers from Usyk to Lomachenko. They just said, "I'm not doing anything else. I'm going to fight for my country," and they're in Kyiv probably right now. So that just goes to show you the heart that these people have. But that's all as far as anything other than that, and they have a horrible time right now dealing with what's going on. The game itself, if we were to talk about that, and it's it is what it is. That comes second nature. So just figure when the war or this becomes resolute, or there's some type of resolution here, and hopefully that gets done sooner than later. But if there is something that happened there, then you can see it ramp up. So like I said, if they got a resolution in June, they'd probably start working in July.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm sure it's different everywhere. The chat is like, we don't normally talk about anything that's like political, and I try and run a clean show. Like you're cool to use certain language, but if you can kind of like sugarcoat it a little bit, that's cool. And then the chat and moderators, like, it's, I don't know, there's different ranges of ages that are here, and I guess people have different ideas about language, but I like to use alternative words for fun. But I totally get the passion. Like people were saying they're tough. And, you know, like a thing.
Well, what
like
did
that,
I
like
say? What did I say that? What
like,
did I say that was
tough MFers? Like, yeah, I get it. It's great. Yeah, just like just censor it a little bit. Just keep it on the PG-13. You guys are so great.
Did I say that? I didn't say that.
No.
Though,
I'm just talking about. I was talking about the chat. Like, chat's amazing.
Oh,
like, but they're speaking from their chest, man. And I totally get it, because we're in tough times. Like, we're all around the world. We've been going through this 2-year pandemic. We're hoping everybody's going to make it okay. You know, all the tough things that go along. And then around the world, there's other kinds of hardships. And we cling on to video gaming. That's just like where our favorite thing is. It's where we get our release. And then you play Elden Ring and you get your butt kicked over and over. But yeah, Ukraine are tough people. They're going to get through this. So many great talent in Europe and all over on the other side of the world. Like, there's talent everywhere making great games, and we are lucky recipients of these people who pour their guts into these games. So yeah, like Phil said, right, don't weaponize it. You know, give respect.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know, and this is very serious stuff. And you know, the developers there, like I said, it's not only the developers for that game. It's the Microsoft has some people there too. So it's really this is a really tough time, and it is you know, a tough subject, but that's the reality of it. But in the end, if they took a year release, just make it even more epic. You know what I mean? I have a lot of you know, anticipation for that game. I think they're going to make that game special.
Yeah, I do too. Another thing that wasn't expected, Tim, was that the deal with Russia and Ukraine, like, there are a lot of people over on that part of the planet that are creating product that makes its way into the consoles. And as a gut punch, this is another reason why supply is constrained.
Oh yeah.
And it's making it worse. I've got Brian Harris here in the chat. Brian Harris and I have been talking every single week in DMs about him finally trying to nail down a Series X for a year and a half, Tim. He actually bought a Series S a couple months ago, and then he was at Best Buy and was able to get a Series X through All Access. I think it was Brian that said when he was up at the register, a guy came up to him and goes, "I'll give you $650 for that, bro." And he's like, "Nope." So it is really difficult. People are trying to just get that console they want.
It's going to be like that till 20. Yeah, I heard, and it's going to be past 2022. It's far gone. Like, listen, like I said, the people I talked to were very down, and it was because, you know, this affects people. You know, there's, you know, think about it from somebody in that position that has friends there, and you know, and now, even on a personal level, they have to deal with this. It's affecting the console business. It's affecting the bottom line. It's affecting all their plans. You know, they want to hit their, you know, projections, but there's no way to protect this now. At this point, listen, we might be paying. You can't. The whole supply line is probably going to get even worse right now until something breaks. So you're talking about well into 2023, maybe 2023 holiday, in my opinion. I believe another analyst just came out and said, it's going through 2022. This is crazy, but you know, at this point, you know, you just have to take the news and grin and bear it. I'm still looking for a PlayStation 5. Every Thursday I go to Walmart, buy me on my ride home. I might stop in there tomorrow. I have my credit card ready. I want to get GT7 and I want to get PlayStation 5. I have the HDMI ready. I can't find this thing. And then I go on StockX and it's like 700. I'm like, no. So I do want to get a PlayStation 5 now, especially for GT7, which looked amazing. But I mean, after a while, some of the screenshots I made me scratch my head with that game.
I was going to say, does it? I have that in the topic list. Let's dive right into GT7. We'll pause that. Let me grab a couple super chats here because I do want to talk about GT7 because it's been a wild ride for that franchise this week. We got, let's see. Oh, here we are. Sean the Bree in the chat. Hey, Sean the Bree. He's also moderating. He's amazing. I saw him slapping some wrists and giving high fives at the same time. He's amazing. Sean Ogle with the $2 super chat says, when will Xbox get its graphics upgrade update? That's kind of an inside joke as far as using the words update, upgrade. But yeah, we just need to get out of cross-gen. I covered this quite a bit last week. Tim, you've talked to some of the higher ups about how right now all these games we've been playing were already created like before the Series X Scarlett and PS5 were fully conceptualized and tied down for architecture. So how do you explain this to people who are wondering what's going on with the performance?
Well, just like you said, it wasn't coded for next generation machine. Also, like in Elden Ring's case, it's the lead platform. And basically it's GPU grunt that's being taken down faster by the PS5 with its faster speed of its clock for the GPU, which I believe what's the speed on it? I don't know. It's like 2.3 versus 2.4, Xbox.
Yeah, 2.3. Yeah.
Versus Xbox at 1875. But what's not encountered in Xbox has, it has a suite of all the features of RDNA 2, and people don't want to people think this is a joke, but they have VRS2, which is a full RDNA 2 feature. That is showing 30% on the latest update on games, 30% optimization. So when you have games coded with VRS2, let's think of the next Call of Duty, and PlayStation doesn't have it, they're going to probably be running in a resolution probably like 1600. Xbox would probably, 1800, and probably would have better frames, and just be show off more of the power. Also, it has. I'm sorry about the dogs. Also, it has
direct ML
machine learning.
Yep.
It has direct ML. It has Xbox velocity. So those things haven't been coded or even been touched. Basically, you're going, a game that's a system that's very powerful, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X, which is more powerful. But the reason why you're having some of these discrepancies is for things that we stated: faster GPU. It basically, and this is what I was told too. This isn't really coming from my mind. It's coming from, hey, I have a question.
You and I were in a very privileged party chat one night with a mysterious person, right?
Super resolution, right?
Yeah. It's a big deal.
Yeah,
people are like, why in the heck is the Xbox Series? Yeah, someone who would know was talking about, people griping about 1080p on a Series S, like that narrative or that discussion or that complaint is going to go away. Yeah. It is crazy. And I've tried to explain to people, like, these games we've been playing all year have absolutely been built with the Xbox One and PS4 in mind. Like, they didn't know there's no way that they know that the Series S and X would have the full RDNA 2 suite when they started building them 3, 5, 2 years ago.
No,
so
exactly.
Yeah, this is that growing period. Yeah, that you go through. The difference is the PS4
also,
and Xbox One are so similar.
Not to interrupt, but that conversation, my big takeaway was the super resolution, which at that point was being tested, and you'll probably see some of it later on. But the super resolution is going to be a real big game changer. You're going to have those games using VRS super resolution your game will look 4K, but it'll be running 60. It might
That's
even
going
have
to-
ray tracing.
Yeah, the super resolution is going to really make Digital Foundry's job difficult. Because there are many instances where super resolution looks better than native resolution because it cleans up the image so well, frame by frame. I think Digital Foundry's really going to love this stuff. They love the challenge. So, we're excited. But that answers that question. Sean, thank you so much. We kind of dove into that a little bit. Yodana Kazada with the $2 super chat says he made me laugh while you were talking like 20 minutes ago when we were talking about the Dr. Cringe. He said you can't spell gallbladder without 2 L's. And he made me laugh. So yeah, that was the fun we have. Chris R, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. So just saying, if I was one on that operating table, the first thing I'd be doing is suing his rear end for making it about everything except my health. Can you imagine if he accidentally put like a DualSense 5 back in there instead of, crazy. No, I'm sure the guy is fine. In his position, he's just supposed to monitor the guy. But you gotta do your job. We all need to do our job. Philippe Pareto, thank you so much for the $2. I'm not saying that very well, but thank you. He says console war is hell. Yeah. And then Hargi Chani, he just rolls in. I was talking to him today. He says, "Hey, Colt, Tim Dog, we haven't chatted in a while, bro." And we talk all the time. He's
great
amazing.
guy.
He's so good.
Thank you. He helped me with the giveaway. Thank you.
And it's because of that that Hargeet and I got to talk for the first time on chat, because he was helping you get a Series X out for a giveaway for your 50,000 followers on Twitter. I just can't believe when I say that number. Let's get into the next topic here. Everybody wants to talk about this new Spyteam game, which I'll get into in a minute, but we got to address Halo Infinite. It has been an absolute disappointment ride this past month or so. The game has dropped off on Steam, not so much on Xbox, but on Steam PC, where it had a major audience, it's dropped off sharply because the offering is not enough to keep people going on. Tim, can you kind of get people up to speed of where Halo is sitting and what they announced for Season 2?
Yeah, actually, I have some information on that. Basically what happened with that, I think, or from what I heard, is that when they completed the game, the whole team was exhausted. They hit a deadline that they feared that they wouldn't make.
At
they
Christmas.
Worked, yes. They worked even the weeks after that. All the contract help left. And there's a rumor that the reason why it's called Lone Wolves is because of the devs that picked up the Season 1 were only 3 in the room, a room of 50. Now there's only 3 people left. But basically, what I'm hearing is they're retooling, re-gearing, and they have a really exciting timeline. It's just about making it. Can I say that like people are happy? I'm sure that Xbox, their people are probably, they see what's being written, they see what's going on, so I'm sure that they want to have some, progress here. But if you read what Joe says too, he mentions healthy and talking about getting the content going. Once they get the train going, and they get more people back, and they get they get this out in Season 2. I think Season 3 will be a real big one with Forge, and I think that'll probably be the holiday. And I think that they can rekindle a lot. Listen, these free to play games go away for a while, then they come back. The one thing though, also, it's doing well on Xbox. And the reason is because Xbox is different than the PC. Console's different. This is one of our
especially
free-to-play
competitive
games,
shooters. Like the PC crowd on the biggest game, Call of Duty, is not as big as they are on console. So yeah, it hasn't dropped off in as much as popularity on Xbox, but We got to talk
Steam
about
is down. Yeah.
what happened, Tim. I want to know what happened. Like a lot of people in the chat are like, they had a year delay. They had an amazing launch. Like, what was it?
Well,
November?
they
November
struck.
12th?
Listen, they got by skin and teeth. That's the answer. They got by skin and teeth, and they got it done. And they got an 87 Metacritic, and the thing wasn't a disaster. But it was heading that way. And if it didn't get a lot of good things like Joe Staten and Pierre, the guy Pierre that was picked up, I heard he was very instrumental in getting it back. This could have been a complete disaster. So I get it. They delayed the game a year, and they should have had more time, but that's where they're at right now. I think that they kind of was a development hell. They got through it, and they were all exhausted, and everyone needed to refresh, and people needed to retool. They needed to get more people on the project to how to organize it, and basically Joe is back again. And if there is a problem, he's cleaning up the mess again, and I do think that he's going to clean it up again. And I think that during the holiday, you'll have a lot of happy Xbox Halo fans
of next holiday. So we'll kind of get you up to speed, guys. Tim and I are talking about season 2 of Halo Infinite, which is kind of partially the rest of the full game. We should have got it launched, but still no Forge. But Halo campaign co-op, which is integral to the franchise, has been pushed not in the December release, but pushed to May. But not even to May. They're talking end of that season. So August is when you'll be able to play. I got to ask the chat. Chat, please let me know as you write. Are you interested in getting back to Halo campaign with friends 9 or 10 months after you've already played the game? So I beat the game twice. Let me know in the chat. Just say yes, co-op, or no, I'm not. No co-op if you're not interested, because I'm starting to wonder with all the games that are coming out, and if we get like a big like online beta for Redfall in the toward the end of the summer before the game comes out in the late summer, like, will I care about playing co-op? Looks like a lot of the people in the chat are saying yes.
I'm big into that.
When I think about playing with you or playing with Dealer,
4 people.
And using the grapple, the way that I like honed it myself solo, us like showing off our tricks and just dominating massive fortresses. It would be legendary, amazing. And legendary,
listen, that has me. You know me. I've been talking about that. I remember we were thinking it was 2-player, or I was thinking it was 2-player. And then Dealer's like, but there's 4 pods when you go onto the thing, and we're like, oh yeah, you're right.
There's 4 toilets. There's 4 bagels. Yeah.
So if they can get that, like, that'd be cool. Like, think about that. Listen, maybe I'm too soft on them. I got that from the Halo community. I understand you guys are pissed off, but I also don't like the fact that like the Halo community and a lot of YouTubers are like, they ghosted the community, and they're acting like they weren't going to acknowledge anything. Everything's going to get acknowledged, but you don't have to say that they're going to ghost it. They're not ghosting you guys. It's coming. But it might not be everything that you wanted as well. But I do think that in the end, Halo will right itself a little bit.
I'm going to take this opportunity.
Go ahead.
I want to take this opportunity to arm wrestle you a little bit, Tim. I'll kind of play devil's advocate. Hargate Chani says, "Thank you, Hargate." He says, "Calling it co-op won't come out until fall." If they're saying August.
Yeah.
At this point, I thought they would, if they're saying the end of the season, that they mean it, that they'll finally have it. But I guess I can kind of see where he's coming from. I'm going to start off this little discussion with you, Tim, by reading what Risk It for the Biscuit says. He's an awesome Australian guy. Talk to him in Xbox Party chats. You got to get in there with him. He's a good dude. He says, this is a tough one, but I agree with him a lot. And it's a hard conversation to have because I met Bonnie Ross at E3 very nice person, very super smart, has been leading massive teams and big things for a long time. He says Bonnie Ross had plenty of opportunities to right the ship. It's time for a change of leadership. Halo 5 had 8 new maps at this point. Joe Staten should lead. So I got to ask you, Tim, Halo 343 has been surrounded by amazing people who've made great Halo 4. They've done an amazing online setup and system with Halo 5, and they had a great launch, but something is missing. I got to ask you, Tim, directly, what's going on with leadership before Joseph Staten is taken? Because he's got a great handle on teams. What can you say?
It's been rough. It hasn't been smooth. I think that they're probably well aware of that. But I do think that they still have confidence in her. If they didn't, I do believe they would move on. I'm sure there's been this discussion internally. To be honest, Bonnie is an icon in Microsoft in their eyes, or like she was part of the team that they talked about. That was Phil. It was her, I believe, 10 other people that did nothing for like 2 years. They were the gaming division for Microsoft when it was first talked about. So she's come up through the ranks, but she's had a rough go with it. And I don't know if it's because they've hired too much contract work. But I think that if things don't improve, you could see something happen, or a restructure. But it just seems to me like when Joe comes in, he's like the guy that can fix it, or he takes it upon himself to fix it. He fixed the campaign, and now maybe
passion.
he's but he's probably knows what he's doing. He'll say, hey, Phil, I need 50 of this developer, I need this, I need programmers, I need that, I need to build a team. And I think that being faced with what he was faced with before, he'll handle it. But if he doesn't and he can't, and they really are behind and they're getting this negative plus, maybe it is time for a change or a restructure.
Do you think of Staten as do you think of him as a closer? I think of him like coming to the mound.
I heard of Tim. Yeah, I heard also Pierre. I forgot his last name, but I heard Pierre was very instrumental in getting that ship righted. I mean, listen, we all remember that we saw that E3, and I was one of the few people that were like, I'm not crazy upset about it, but 90% of the community was like, what the hell did we just see? And they fixed it. They fixed the structure. I think they did a lot of things, and they were from behind since then, and they're still behind. And then they got exhausted, in my opinion, and then they shut it down. And this is the fallout, what we're experiencing.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective, guys, this, like I don't have to say it, but the campaign was really good. It scored really well. The multiplayer beta and the first couple months of multiplayer were hot. People were the whole thing came off really well, and it could have been a lot better. The game could have looked a lot better in visual wise. It could have had a more robust ending. A lot of people were really happy with the game. So like 343 did launch a great product, but man, the problem, Tim, is people came in November and December and blew the wheels off of that. They were banging on all those maps. There weren't enough maps. They just like wrote it until there was nothing left, and they should have launched with more like they did with every other game. So they were in a really tough spot. And I think, like you've illustrated really well, that once they came in with that content in the holiday, they were kind of like, man, this is all we have. It's all we could get out in time. And people ripped through it so quickly and loved it. And the Halo fans deserve more. And they know what they can get. Yeah.
And I love the community, and I think that it is awesome community, the YouTube community, all the people that I've seen there, and I've seen them disgruntled, and I get it, but I do think that you got to give them a little shot here too. As people have said, though, yeah, this hasn't been an easy process, and it's still not easy. And amongst other things, they have bigger concerns than that right now, I think, at Xbox. And I think that ties into the supply line. It ties to their brothers and sisters, their family or whatever. There's people, the whole thing, their workers and the Stalker team in Kyiv and everything that's going there. That's a ton of stuff that's going on that's affecting things. So Halo is there, but I think in different times it would be more focused.
Get your alarm. I was getting a massage. That was great. I got to ask one more question, but I also got to reset for the audience. This is the XNC Podcast. I'm Colteastwood, and you're watching the show live on my channel. And I'm here with xCloud Tim Dog, a veteran of the gaming space and the podcast scene for Xbox, and a real true friend of mine. We've been talking about Halo and some delayed games. We're going to talk about some new games upcoming. If you're checking this out, it's on YouTube, but it's also going to be on demand audio for Spotify, Google Pocket Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and a couple other places. So thank you so much for checking that out. It'll be there with timestamps when the show wraps here in a little bit, but we've got some big stuff to talk about. And before we end what's talking about Halo, because we could talk forever about what could be, but the big question is, Tim, is Halo dead? Is Tim dead? Let me kind of cover for him on that one. Because people are asking, like, you've gone through these 3 or 4 months since the game is launched and it's dropping off. Yeah, I can hear you. So is Halo dead? Because they've got a long way to go.
Okay.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Halo dead?
Yeah.
No. Halo's not dead. Yeah, no, Halo's not dead. I think that it's more of a, like I just said, it would be more focused if times were better. It's one of it's one of Microsoft's problems right now on the totem pole. It will get handled, in my opinion. You have to have
is it a 343 problem? People ask me a lot. Is it 343 problem or is it an Xbox problem?
I mean, yeah, I think it's a 343 problem.
Yeah,
I think at this point, yeah. And if you really want to be honest, you could say maybe they need to change in management. That's not up to me to say. That's not my pay grade. That's not thing. But yeah, it should be, considering the size and the amount of support, it should be going smoother, in my opinion.
I got to ask you guys. I'll ask Tim in the chat. Do you guys think that 343 feels like the new kids and like they're still intimidated that they've got this massive IP that has millions and millions of people with an expectation? They feel like they can't deliver and they're a little bit gun shy, because I think they should be ready to like deliver, but I feel like they're a little bit afraid that they'll never please all of the millions and millions of fans.
That's a good point. Or is it a case of them not really having the right culture involved, and they have to work on that? I don't know. Maybe they hired too many contractors, and there's no there's no fluidity there. A lot of times you have people working on a game, that's all they worked on. It's not, okay, I had here, this guy did this is contract out, that's contract out. Now all that stuff comes back to them, and yeah, it sounds like that 343 has its share of its struggles and probably will struggle, but I do think that they still have to be given the benefit of the doubt. They did get lucky with Halo Infinite, I think, and it is in my opinion, the game is awesome. So
yeah,
I'm looking well into the endless, and I know that we'll get some information on that probably next year, but can't wait for that.
They've got 2 maps that people are going to be waiting months for, which is really rough, but a lot of people have been kind of like throwing their hands up. Sleeping Vistas with the Yes, they are. And I also feel like there's been kind of a split where there's the angry, not so nice fans demanding better, and there's been such a large
Yes.
amount of fans who are very constructive and just
Yes.
ask 343, like, look, we know how much, this takes a while, but we really, we need more biomes, or we need regionalization. We need this through matchmaking. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that people are asking for.
Mhm.
Sleeping Vistas with the Australian Fall Dallas Super Chat says it so well. He says Fortnite had a rough start. Apex Legends had a rough start. Call of Duty Warzone had a rough start. Sea of Thieves had a rough start. All had rough starts. Yes, and this is we weren't even going to get into delay Halo, but this is where I've always thought, give your game another year. And I know that Halo had 1 year delay, but it's very apparent that Halo Infinite should have come out with a 2-year delay, because Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 would have been amazing if they came out in 2019. I think those were 2018 games. Yes, because in 2019 they were so much better. And if they would have waited, people would have got a much better product that they paid for. And don't tell me Game Pass, because that's not an excuse. Thor Odison with a $2 super chat says, do you see WB Games on Xbox in the future? As far as an acquisition, not in the near future. Tim, people ask you this quite often, WB or Take-Two or Elon Musk being bought.
I don't think anything's going to get done until this gets done with Activision. Yeah, if it gets done and they get away with it, not that they get away with it, because I do think they have a really solid, strong case, and they are not, becoming a monopoly, and they are not infringing on the market. I think they have a really strong case there. But let's just say they get off and they get scot-free, and there's no concessions other than maybe Call of Duty going to PlayStation, which
a couple IPs or something.
You're not going to hear anything until that, because they don't want to draw any red flags, and it's a $67 billion deal.
With like $3 billion riding on if it falls apart. Like if it falls apart. We talked about it with Hoglaw. Hoglaw was on my show, and he talked about how if something happens and Xbox has to default, Xbox has to pay Activision Blizzard, I'm rounding to like a $2 to $3 billion. And if Activision messes something up or backs out, they have to pay Xbox or Microsoft $3 billion as like a service fee. So both teams are quietly trying not to rock the boat so that they can get what they want. And they both want this deal to close.
As things go on, it's looking better. As far as, 343 has so many problems. They had a person have a suicide. They had toxic workplace. All these things about Cotig. They're in need of new. They're in need of being taken. They're in need of being taken over, and I think that really going to play to Microsoft's advantage. I think that the deal is going to get done, and it'll probably get done earlier than June, probably March. And when it happens, that's when you'll see the big Xbox exhale, because I think that's their main part of the plan right now. If they get Activision in 2 to 3 years, in my opinion, they'll be number one easily. Will they be a dominant one? No, but they'll be there. That's just my opinion.
I mean, Xbox kind of is dominating many aspects of the gaming industry in a lot of ways, and that kind of drives people crazy that expect that some other company is always going to dominate. Nintendo's always going to dominate the money and the sales and the consoles, right? And then it's crazy, but it's cool to see Xbox leading the industry and leading where consumers are going and what they can enjoy. It's been absolutely phenomenal. We got to talk about this new game from Bethesda and Roundhouse Studios, but before we talk about that, I got to ask you about I put out a critical tweet the other day. I don't know if you saw it, Tim, but I said that Xbox needs to reach out to their 20 plus studios and ask anybody if they have anything ready that they want to show for a small late spring show before E3. In other words, I think Xbox should shoot to have 3 to 4 shows per year instead of just jumping into the Keeleys, right? You and I talk about this a lot. I think that Xbox should have a spring or late winter show, June E3 show, and then an XO at the end of the year, and then, jump into the Keeleys. But people got really mad and said that Xbox shouldn't be pressuring their studios to show stuff that they're not ready. But I mean, I said in the tweet, I opened it up in the very first sentence, 7 words in, ask if they have anything ready to show. So before I ask you about this, Xbox is hiring right now for a broadcast show director. So what is the future of Xbox's 50 plus projects and how they're going to communicate that?
It's going to be probably what you said, or that think tank that you just spat out there, is exactly what they have to probably do, or have one huge show or have 2 huge shows. And you also have to realize they have the indie show. So you're going to probably talk about 4 shows.
They have the ID at Xbox show. Yep.
Yes, they have the ID at Xbox show. Then they're going to probably have, they'll probably space this out. And I don't think E3 is written in stone anymore, at least for this year. But they want to tell the stories. I talked about this on another podcast. If you remember that documentary they had on YouTube, or whatever that
20
was.
year.
Yeah, that was done really well, right? They want to have that type of emotion coming out of these shows, I believe. They have a lot of stories to tell. They have a lot of predominant developers like Todd Howard, Tim Schafer. You can go on and on. You go Dadi, I don't know how to say his name, from Hellblade. Some really interesting people. Awesome. The guy from Compulsion, brilliant guy. Had him on a podcast back in the day. There's a lot of stories to be told, a lot of games to be shown, a lot of stuff to be basically put out there. So that critical tweet is actually a fine tweet, because they're trying to figure that out right now, and they want to have somebody handle all that and have 3 shows or whatever, and put these developers, see who can do what, when they can deliver a demo or it's a type of trailer. Supposedly takes 28 days for a studio to do that, so they can plan it. I'm sure Compulsion might have something ready. But there's going to be, I would say, 3 to 4 shows that are coming, where they usually just had 3. I could see definitely 4 or something. They could have a show with the amount of stuff that they leak on these stupid Mondays. You know what I mean? Where it's like out of nowhere they have this big announcement. They could also have shows for them. So that was a really positive thing that that listing. It shows you that they have a ton of stuff and they know it, and now they're actually saying, hey, we got to now facilitate this. We got to plan this out. And that's, in my opinion, that's what you were doing with that tweet, and that's what they're doing right now. They're think tanking it. They're probably going to get somebody who's really good at it, and they'll run the show.
Yeah, because the Inside Xbox, you and I were like really ingrained in the monthly show, and that was just too much, right? There was always expectations are always just absolutely slaughtered for Inside Xbox, but I get you, chat. Like, some of you are like, they don't want to push their developers. They need to give them breathing room. They need to make sure that they're taking time, because to get a vertical slice of gameplay ready for the show can take like a lot of pipeline.
28 days, I was told. I heard it takes the team shuts down
a month, right?
That's what.
But
that's what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big ask, but the reason why I brought that up, Tim, is we've seen the graphic that Klobrille built. I think it was Klobrille, that shows 50 plus games in the works. And if you reach out to all those studios, you're definitely going to have 5 or 6 teams to say, yeah, we've got something we can record. Like, we've got this one set of the level. We can record 3 minutes of that. We can have our head developer voiceover and say, this is the type of game that we're building, and we want you to feel in this world. We want the combat to make you feel powerful, like, and just make a little 3-minute thing, and then you get somebody to edit it all together. It could be really incredible. I talked about this last week with Miles Dampierre. He's a big proponent of them having more events, but it's regardless of what I'm saying, what Tim's saying, Xbox is already looking into having more frequent events, and actually they could really just throw one in the pipeline, because I know you guys are talking about E3. Tim brought it up. The chat kind of was saying Xbox is going to do their show in June every year. I'm pretty sure. I mean, whether there's an E3 or not, Xbox is going to have their game showcase. So, and I'm going to call it E3. I'm going to call it the Xbox E3 show forever, because that's basically what it is. But they're going to do that. And if they throw something in extra, because XO is just on hold. I also talked to Tim. You and I were on party chat with someone who's in the know at Xbox, someone who's in charge of this stuff, that said they want to come back to E3. They want to do things like XO. They want to do FanFest. They want this stuff, and the fans are asking for it. So it's just lining those things together, right? You remember this conversation when Forza Horizon 5 came out?
Was they were hit with Omicron.
Yeah,
they were planning to have they were probably planning to be return to normal in like December. Obviously was the month that Phil was trying to lock down Activision, but there were also talks in I would say November, December, where it was a foregone conclusion. Phil was going to have fans there. They were excited about it, probably a fan fest. And then we got hit with Omicron. And that totally scared the hell out of them, that they called off this year's E3. Now, in retrospect, and the reason why I say this is because E3 is planned in January, and it goes on throughout till E3. So when they made that decision, it threw everyone for a loop, and they're still throwing themselves for a loop, because if they didn't make that decision that day and they held out maybe 3 more weeks, and the way the COVID is going, they could have probably had their show with FanFest. I mean, we talked about this pre-show. Mask mandates are going away all over the place. Yeah. It's getting close, and I think they jumped the gun there. So I don't know. They'll be at E3, but it's going to be digital, and I know that Phil still holding out hope that he wants fans. He wants energy.
He wants them in front of him when they do the announcements, right?
Even Jeff, and Jeff acknowledged it because he liked my tweet. But Jeff Keighley said that they need more fans. Like I said, that they need more of the fans there, and that COVID thing really hurt that show. I felt like they could have had more of a fan presence, and I'm sure that next year that he will. But you have to have the hardcore fans there. You can't just have industry, and Phil loves the hardcore fans. So I don't know if they're going to have an E3 the way it was supposed to be, but they still might have an event in person, or they might just have E3 digital in-person event in September.
Yeah, I mean, there's rumors that XO 2022 is a thing that is in the works, so that could be in person, but we may have to ride it out since we're just finishing this year. Still going through all this stuff. It's so obnoxious. LA Chargers fan, thank you so much for the $2. He said, when will Xbox show its power over the PS5? Nay, my friend, nay. It already is. A lot of people have this perception that the PS5 outperforms when it's running at a lower resolution, and there are drops here or there in different spots, and they'll hear things like Digital Foundry will say that the frame rate is more stable on the PS5. I will tell you, if Chargers fan, if you sound like an Xbox fan, you want to know if that's going on. If you are really worried about power differential, getting the best graphics, getting the best gameplay experience in your hand, it's very important if you want to be able to have that conversation, it's very important to have the right display and all the right equipment. And I mean, you can get a really expensive VRR TV, or you can get a monitor that supports variable refresh rate. These things are super important. When we got out of the 30 frames, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, Tim, but when we got out of the 30 frames mode, we got into 60, where every game runs at 60 on the Series X. You want the best performance. When you run at 60, you're prone to screen tearing, and you're going to see drops more often. Instead of seeing something drop from 30 to 27, you're seeing bigger drops and more frequent drops, because it's really hard on the hardware. But it will come, and developers are getting that brand new XDK and all those new instructions they have to follow. Keep in mind, I'll close it with this, Tim, because we've been talking about this for a year. Keep in mind that when a developer makes a game for the PS5, they're following all the same procedures they did for 8 years on the PS4. So they're able to just like go right through with very little obstacles. Not easy work, but they have very few obstacles. And then when they get on the Xbox, they're running into new procedures, new instructions, and they've already done the work building the game. They're just trying to get it on the Xbox. And I don't blame them for going, you know what? Good enough. Sure, it drops down to 55 frames. No one will notice until Digital Foundry makes a video, but we will see improvements. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Yeah,
I know. I feel you, bro. I feel you. I've played with VRR, without, through capture card. It's so nice with VRR. It's great. But some of these things cost money, but they need to fix it. Okay. True77, a channel member, 7 months, says, thanks for constantly pumping out the great show, guys. When do you think we'll start seeing custom Series S and X consoles besides that Halo edition? Tim, do you have an answer for that? I kind of have one in my mind, but we're just making it up.
Holiday would be a good idea for that. I want to see.
Do you think they're thinking about a Forza Motorsport or a Starfield console that no one can buy?
Starfield console would be awesome, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
That
Starfield
wouldn't
console. It? Yeah, I didn't think about that, but listen, I talked to somebody recently about Starfield, and when people talk about that game, they always say that they're blown away. So
awesome.
I think that I think people that are fans of Todd Howard are going to be in a real treat. And I do think it will get the red carpet pulled out. So, yeah, you'll probably see a Starfield Series X. Hopefully, you see a Starfield Series S, because I think the S could really lend itself to some cool designs.
I just hope they don't do what they did last generation. Like, a lot of people really like that Minecraft 1S, but you couldn't get it in an X. That's like, well, I like, I hope they make it for both. But
they're going to do some cool stuff, I think. Yeah, but a Starfield Series X seems right.
Yeah.
Just because they're going to give that the
like
red
button.
Carpet treatment.
Yes, this is a big deal. Like, this is the real deal Bethesda game. Like, everyone likes to say Fallout 76. That one, like, in the grand scheme of their 25, 30 years as developers, that's an outlier. That's completely an outlier, because I didn't like that game at all. And Todd Howard has all but apologized for that game, without, throwing his team under the bus that worked on it. But Starfield is going to be something really cool. And you're going to get those moments like people are with Elden Ring, where they come into this world and they're like, I'm here. If you're having a good time and you're here enjoying the show, please show your support. Let's get up over 300 likes by hitting the like button. You guys are so amazing. I'm keeping an eye over here on the chat when I'm not looking into your beautiful eyes right here in the camera. Thank everybody. Thank Tim Dog for being here. We got to talk about these new games. Bethesda, because we were just talking about Bethesda, they've got this Roundhouse Studios, just a smaller studio, but apparently they've been working on a comic book themed or comic IP franchise. Tim, does anybody know what is Gaz still awake right now? Happy birthday, Gaz. You're my best friend.
Happy birthday, Gaz.
We love Gaz. Does anybody know what in the world this comic, because people have been begging for a comic game on Xbox. Well, what is going on with Roundhouse?
I do not know. I saw the people talking about it, but I do know that Roundhouse, I think their latest job listing mentioned AAA, and mentioned Unreal Engine. I'm not positive about that, but if that's the case, that's really cool.
Okay, here's what it says. Senior programmer at Human Head Studios. This person is now working for Roundhouse Studios. He says he's worked with small teams for Unreal Engine 4. He's worked on all different gameplay systems for player movement, weapons, status effects, game modes. But they say it's a 4-player, third-person, over-the-shoulder action adventure shooter, but in a comic franchise,
cool.
which could be anything. I don't know what that could be. We'd all be speculating on what this comic thing
but
could
I
be.
like
a
that.
shooter. Yeah.
Could it be cell shaded? I don't know.
I don't know. Like, what is Roundhouse made in the past?
No, they were like very small. They were like, when I remember when they went through all the studios, they were the one that like I shrugged aside and said, okay, they've done
Roundhouse and Alpha Dog. Mobile. Alpha Dog is a mobile studio.
Right. But depending on how big the studios, it's hard to get information on them, but depending on, you know more how big of the scale the game is on how many developers they have. Maybe Clobrel has it, a listing of them, but if they're like 50 to 100 or like 50 to 75, that makes sense. They would probably do something like that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be AAA, but I mean, listen, at this point, Xbox has so many games, AAAs, AA's, stuff that, people are going to beg that stays multi-plat. But some are gonna probably, like that game Ybarra talked about, the survival game.
From Blizzard.
Yeah, I think that would be exclusive, right?
That's what I've asked, like the Xbox 2 podcast guys, Jez and Rand, and they're kind of pointing at, they would think that would be an exclusive still. It's going to be really dicey about what goes multi-plat and what doesn't, but it sounds like a couple big franchises might be the bone they throw the FTC and the eyeballs watching.
Yep.
So we did have a little more controversy in the gaming scene. Elden Ring has shocked the world and taken by storm, and everybody, like, you can't go on Twitter or social media without seeing someone saying Elden Ring has the best open world ever. It's so amazing, right? And people are just so enamored. But a DICE Battlefield developer and Guerilla Games Horizon Forbidden West developer were having a little Twitter discussion about how the UI or the UX, the user design in the game, is so horrible. Hold on, I've got it here. I'll read it without saying their names. Let me just get on my phone. Where is it? It was a little bit salty. Ugly. The fact that Elden Ring scored a 97 Metacritic is proof that reviewers don't give a flaming poop about game UX. My life is a lie. Which is one developer, griping about, like, a person who's the master of game UX, and then this game is so huge and people don't care. That's kind of funny, right? People don't care about that part. The game's amazing. It doesn't need an incredible UX. The next person says, nor PC graphics, stability, and performance, apparently. And then the Horizon Forbidden West developer said, nor quest design, really, which is funny because the Horizon Forbidden West developer for Guerrilla Games locked down his Twitter account after getting flamed for that, because Horizon Forbidden West is a really good game, but it doesn't do anything groundbreaking as far as quests. Go over there, take out those enemies, and bring me back that flower petal. It's like that's every game does that. So did you see this kind of little meltdown go on?
Yeah, I saw it, and to be honest, it's an unwritten rule. You got to have some professionalism. With console war, people just don't have any bone to pick, or they don't have a gripe in it, or whatever that statement is. But this is like your fellow workers, so bad news. They should get the heat. And even though, listen, I agree with what the guy has said. 97, it should be scored a little bit lower if you're going to be fair, but it's so good the game that I can understand why I got it. But it is unfair that some games get docked for stuff like that. Ori in the Blind Forest 2, Ori 2 was one of them. Probably lost 3 points. It's good for one, not for the other. It doesn't make any sense. But if you're a developer, you got to really rise above that. That's, it's like you don't do that. And anytime you do that, it just looks really bad. And I did see it, and I was just shaking my head. I was like,
yeah,
it looks bad. It looks bad on the Horizon developer because it looked like he was salty.
Yeah, and
about the Metacritic and everything.
The Metacritic, right? Because it's a 97, and Horizon Forbidden West dropped down to 87 and back up to an 88. Don't you think that something rose above with Elden Ring where people were able, you can love something so much that those little things like a few frame drops or not having the most amazing UI or UX doesn't affect your score, that it just, you give a game such a high score. I mean, it obviously is what happened.
Love it that much. Yeah, exactly. But that, to be honest, that's not fair because other games are judged on that stuff and none of that's taken account for. Either you're going to have it as a point of discussion and or docking of points or not. So don't do it to other games and do it and let this game ride for it. Yeah. It's like the Forza 7 was docked easily 3 points for microtransactions that they never even put in the game because everyone went bananas. And then you have GT7 that probably, I think might be a little bit overrated by the way it looks.
Let's talk about that, Tim. Like, open up. Like, let's stretch out a little bit.
I don't know.
Like,
I saw the pictures. I saw the videos. I saw all the side by sides, and there's no denying it. I don't care if John Linneman says, it's more technically impressive. I love John, but my eyes are going to speak for myself. And
that isn't that the weird thing. Like, I know that Digital Foundry is amazing. They can hone in on what makes it technically amazing, but everyone takes a step back and goes, really? Like, did you see the Crazy Taxi clip that was going around today where someone was driving a yellow car through like downtown Tokyo in Gran Turismo 7 and the game doesn't, I don't want to be mean, but it just doesn't look good. Shout out to you, Donna Quezada, with the $5 super. He just gave a free Rockstar Waypoint codes in the chat. Grab those and copy and paste them if you want. He's amazing. Thanks for doing that, buddy. I didn't know you were going to do that, but this chat is awesome. Tim, Digital Foundry said that Gran Turismo Sport in 2017 was technically better looking in every way to Forza Motorsport 7. But right now, most people are saying that's not true. Like, Forza Motorsport 7
side by side, and your eyes speak for themselves. End of discussion. Everyone, even it's like everyone saw my tweet when I said it, and I've been kind of staying away from just the arguments, but bro, like that's it. They're comparing it to cell phone games, and the cell phone game looks better. I mean, it's crazy. So
people have been memeing the heck out of it.
Yeah, I think that the gameplay aspect, it's overrated. But I do think the presentation and the replay and the way they do everything is absolutely 10 of 10. But it's just that core gameplay is getting rivaled by an open, and I agree, you really can't compare both of them. But usually, you would think the open world racing game would be, be the game that looks worse, and
absolutely. Do not put Forza Horizon 5 or 4 or 3 pictures up against Gran Turismo 7. It'll curb stomp it. Forza Horizon is on another level. It's one of the best looking games of the entire generation.
Right.
We got to talk
my
about this
point
other.
was, but I wanted to make a point on that was we talked about all the stuff with the graphic. Okay, so it did do 88. That's good. It's a return to form. I'm sure they did some things good, but they left out the transaction part. And 3 days after the review process comes out, cars are $40 that were $5 a week ago. Same car on GT Sport. So now you're buying the same car for $40. Total
ported up last generation cars with a 7 times price hike or whatever it was.
And that's after the review process. So in my opinion, Forza should just do the same thing. Just announce it 3 weeks after. What did
Forza Motorsport 7 have? What did Forza Motorsport 7 have for they only had in-game.
They never launched it though.
Yeah, they never launched any. Yeah, they never did.
It was that bad. And the community went crazy and they said it was too much grinding or whatever. They fixed it. They were very constructive. They took a lot of constructive criticism, and then they ended up not even pushing it out there. And then you have something like this that went on with Gran Turismo, and like I know for myself, I remember that whole thing. I'm like, there's a lot of bullshit. Some games get away with things and others don't.
Do you think that the fans will speak up and reverse those $40 cars back to $5 or $10?
Not that community. I mean, just let's be honest. Xbox is everyone's saying they're in last place and this.
We literally took a double price hike for Xbox Live and turned it around in 8 hours as a community.
Exactly.
Remember that?
Actually, yeah. And just with the Forza, they scared the heck out of the developers. They didn't even they never tried the microtransactions in the game because that's what the Xbox community and everything say, oh, you're last place, you're not spending the same money. Yeah, okay. Well then why, when anything ever goes down, the Xbox community by far gets things done. It's like they could put it up, and shout out to all the great fans and everyone. That's why I love this community so much. You do something wrong and you like with the Xbox Live, like you said, bro, that thing changed. It changed in 8 hours, but it was changed in like 3 hours. Really, it was getting so bad.
Probably
that you know what I mean. Like they were scrambling.
Took them the whole day to sweep up the mess and then get out a community message. Yeah. That'll teach you, right? That was a crazy day. Yeah. It's not fun to make those posts like because I cover all this Xbox stuff, and it's not fun to make a post like, what the heck are you doing, Xbox? But it really does make a difference. Yeah. But the GT7 stuff, like the Metacritic and the way people are, I put out that bar graph that shows how GT is kind of wavered down and now it's back up, and Forza's always kind of been high except for one game. It is quite interesting. I think we're going to see Forza Motorsport in 2022, and that Metacritic is going to be a feisty freaking day. Like, we're going to be doing Metacritic party that night, right?
Yeah, I honestly, I'm expecting 90 material, especially if you're going to rate GT and you're going to set the market. It's I look at it the same way as setting the market in the free agent market, and you put that game. That game's going to be the direct comparison, and it is absolutely going to trample it in every aspect of the way. Turn 10 has been. I think they'll achieve ray tracing in game.
That will be the real kicker if they can.
If they get that, it's 90 Metacritic. And again, if they didn't have the microtransaction fiasco, they would have been at 90 for the Forza. 7. It was and I finished Forza 7. I got the cup.
It's an 86. Yeah, I finished all but 2 of the endurance races. I have every race checked off in Forza Motorsports 7. You can only see part of it over here, but I have a track racer seat that they sent me through sponsorship. I've got a Logitech steering wheel over here, shifter, everything, right? And I played GT Sport to see if I wanted to buy 7. And I found out from Digital Foundry that the platform is almost identical to GT Sport. It's just a more robust game. And so I knew the feel behind the steering wheel was not as dynamic, as exciting as I would expect. And when I played that old 2017 Forza Motorsport 7, shifting through, driving around Nürburgring on that thing, Forza is king. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. It absolutely is. Those guys are monsters. Those guys and girls over at Turn 10 and especially at Playground. Absolutely amazing. Valorian in the chat says Babylon Fallen is a 40. I think it's a 41 or 43 on Metacritic. People went crazy over Crossfire X.
Right now.
It's been absolutely nuts. Let's talk about the holiday season. Today it was announced that Forspoken, a game by Square Enix, that's kind of like a it's kind of like
bad news for Forspoken.
It's what?
It's bad news for Forspoken. That touches Starfield. What did they give a date?
They said October. I don't remember if there was a date, but it's kind of like a Final Fantasy type game. Kind of looks like one. I don't expect this game to come to Xbox for 2 years, if at all. Yeah, they may just never bring it to Xbox. That's PlayStation likes to make sure that happens. We got to talk about the holiday season. I'm going to start this off, Tim, by telling you, I think Redfall, I'm going to make a bold prediction about a delay. Okay. Yeah, I am predicting that we are going to see a little bit of Redfall at E3, and they're going to announce that they will be doing multiplayer betas. I think they might push that game into late 2022, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's delayed, but maybe it's just Bethesda and their group staying quiet until they're ready. What do you think we're going to see in the holiday Xbox versus PlayStation?
I think you're going to get Redfall. It's definitely getting delayed, in my opinion. Stalker 2 is out. That's going to be indefinitely. So that's out of the review window or the fourth quarter window. Forza, September, I'm hearing, or at least Jez said September, I heard on the show. Okay. Redfall, an Age of Empire 4 console port.
Oh, right.
And,
yeah.
I don't think there'll be much more than that. But 2023 is the start of.
Do you think it is possible that Avowed is showed at E3 and Avowed is coming very soon?
Avowed's
or do they need breathing room?
Holiday. Avowed's 2023 holiday. I don't think you'll see Avowed at E3. Probably see it at XO if there is an XO. I think what you're going to see at E3. I don't know if I saw this in the topics. It is one of the topics, but you'll definitely see Perfect Dark, Starfield, Redfall.
That's a surprise. Perfect Dark is a surprise. I've been telling people, I reported on I did a whole Perfect Dark video, and I didn't expect that we would see anything, but like Jez is saying, he's feeling like Perfect Dark's going to have a showing.
Yeah, Crystal Dynamics, when they got them, jump started that whole process. I think that they know what they're doing now. They have the concept, and they have some really good veterans on the some really talented, amazing, as we went through, developers, including Crystal Dynamics with the pedigree. I expect that game to be good. I'm thinking it's going to be very good, and you'll see it at E3, and that'll be just kudos to Xbox for making that deal. I don't think you would have seen them at E3 if you didn't have the Crystal Dynamic deal. You're talking about 100 or so developers coming in, and now you're putting on top of everyone. They're hard at work. They had some of the gameplay already built, probably storyline, everything. You'll have that Perfect Dark. It's going to be a good E3, I think. But they have an XO, like you said, that you're hearing rumbles. That's going to drive back Avowed, probably Drive Back. I'm trying to think of the 2023 window. What are the games that we have?
Is it possible that they want to show Fable
Fable's
at
out.
at the
Fable's out.
Keeleys?
No, Fable. Well, yeah, I think Fable's an E3 2023 guy.
Yeah.
And then they'll
of course there's other games like Warhammer Dark Tide, Scorn,
right.
Exomecha. There's a bunch of other games that Xbox has partnered with that are, I mean, let's be honest, almost no games are getting concrete delays anymore. Because of the Cyberpunk scare, because of the unknowns. I always try to remind people that those of you who've gone and worked from home, at least at some capacity, you have to admit that the type or the caliber or the delivery of work has changed with being at home. And if you're working in a studio where you go up to someone's desk and look over their shoulder and look at what they're working on, and you can give instant feedback like throughout the day, that kind of gets taken away from these developers who are launching this past year or two. So, but I do know one thing, Tim, and Jeff Grubb is spot on the money from Games and Venture Beat, who says that this E3 is going to be the biggest one Xbox has had in probably a decade.
Yeah.
So
they have so much stuff, you know.
And knowing Xbox's MO, I know somebody was saying in the chat earlier, like way at the beginning, like Xbox likes to show stuff that's not coming out for 7 years. No, they never do that. Xbox's MO, I talked to Greenberg about this. You were there, Tim. We talked to him about how he said, we like to show gameplay a year before release. We always show a trailer 2 years before, 1 year before we show gameplay, and then we release the game. That's changed a little bit with some of the problems they've had. Stuff's a little rough, but huge. So whatever Xbox is showing, prepare yourself, and I'll be creating content in the coming couple months about the E3 showcase, as I call it, but expect almost all of that show to be stuff you are getting hands-on in the next year. It's going to be fantastic.
You know something that I thought about you. This goes back a couple of topics, but when you talked about shows next year, they will definitely have their own showcase for Activision. So if Activision gets nailed down, they're gonna have something like they had with the Roundtable. If you guys remember, they'll have a similar thing, and they'll probably announce everything going to Game Pass, everything going to day and date, on Game Pass, all of their games in Game Pass, probably, exclusive deals and stuff like that. So yeah, you're gonna get 5 shows. You can get not 5, but with the indie, you probably get 4 shows next year.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're going to see. I mean, they're hiring for that. So it's inevitable. There's going to be so many games coming out. And then that doesn't even really cover the stuff that's coming to Game Pass like 2 weeks before its release. It gets announced. Like, they give you very little time to even get hyped up. But Yodani Kazada, thank you so much for the code you just put in honor of Trucker Tim Dog. US only. He just dropped in Hitman HD Enhanced Collection. There's the code. If you're quick, you can get that on there. And Brett Bingham, what's a great super for $2. Thank you so much, Brett. He says Doctor Strange by Arcane Studios would be nice. And then he's got the emoji like, that sounds perfect. Like Arcane could nail Doctor Strange. And remember, Marvel's not off the table for Xbox. It's not something PlayStation owns. They're just farming that Marvel thing for 2 games and let somebody else get in there and make something great. That's a good shout there, Brett Bingham.
Good point.
Yeah.
That'd be a good looking game too.
As far as what's that?
No, I think Doctor Strange, shout out to the guy in chat. Think about how good that game could look on like next generation machine with the colors and the way he can open up the world portals and stuff like that. Imagine
with that SSD.
Yeah.
Oh man.
With that VRS 2.0.
With all that technically babble tech talk.
Super res.
So we didn't really cover the PlayStation, but we're hearing God of War Ragnarok is going to make 2022. So
Yeah.
God of War Ragnarok's going to come in, be an absolute juggernaut. But there's something that Ragnarok doesn't have that Starfield has, and that's new hotness. So I think that's going to be a crazy. It could be interesting. Like, I know the game's going to be absolutely fantastic, but that new universe that you're going to fly around in and explore and land on in Starfield is going to be something to salivate over. I'm excited for that. I think we're going to see.
Like
I think
said,
Starfield's going to be a big part of that.
Yeah, I don't know how. I think if it gets over 90 Metacritic, that's unbelievable. But that'll be a fierce day. But
I think it's going to sit around in 88. Like, it's going to be.
It's probably going to be amazing, though. It's gonna, like I said, it's going to blow your minds. But,
and Bethesda games have been in the high 80s. They've had a couple low 90s that are like timeless. So we know
87.
We all know an 87 or 88 or 89 is a fantastically amazing game. But I think we have a lot to look forward to, and there will be more talks about that. Tim, I can't just say you've been an amazing guest. Like, it's just you and me talking like we always do, and I'm so grateful to have you on the show.
I forgot it was on the show. I'm thinking we're talking on the phone. It's honestly,
it's so great, man.
Great show, though.
I love it. Like, so many hours of us like hanging out on Xbox Live and talking on the phone and being in podcasts. You're so amazing. This is the XNC podcast. I'm Colteastwood here on camera, and one day I'll get Tim on when he gets everything all worked out, so he can be on camera and you can see his handsome
you and
face.
Gads. I will come on. I promise.
That's awesome, bro.
We'll have some really good like news that we can jump into. A lot of stuff we're doing the Dr. Cringe and stuff like that. But either or, the show was a lot of fun, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's great. I really appreciate it. The XNC podcast is a weekly show I do. This is episode number 42. I can't believe it's gone this far, but I started it in May of last year. And every single week when I sit down here and turn on the lights and the camera, I get so nervous to be in front of all you guys, but you're so amazing. You make the show so enjoyable. Shout out to the chat. Over 600 people here who are watching the show and contributing. You guys make it amazing. You've been so great, and I learned something from everybody. Tim, this is your opportunity here to tell everybody where they can find you and, brag about how amazing you are and how many followers you have and how big your biceps are. Just, let it all hang out.
I'm your friend, and that's great. And I'm a community. I'm just a guy in the community, really. But I've endured the years. I've been doing this since 2007. If you think about social media and forums,
unbelievable.
I've got 60,000 followers. I think I'm going to hit 100 in the next
60?
year. Yeah, 60.4.
I just kept saying 50. Tim,
I know.
Stop. He's at 60,400, guys. And I kept saying 50.
Yeah. And I just try to be a good guy. We all have our moments, but things like meeting Colt and the rest of the community, that's what it's all about. Hopefully next year we get an E3 Fan Fest. I know I'm going to put out my years, my vacation. We're going to shoot for it, but you can find me on Twitter. That's where I'm at pretty much. And that's only where I'm at aside from podcasts. xCloud, Tim Dog, Colt. It's been a pleasure. You're one of my favorite content creators. I think you're super professional, and somebody who, if you didn't have a job that you do have right now for so many years, and you're too embedded, but would be great for the job that Xbox was looking for, like somebody who could map it all out. You're so talented and stuff like that, and there's so many people like you in the community. I put up your artwork today next to Ben's, next to Clobrel's.
Ben's amazing. Clobrel, those are amazing graphic designers. I
so many talented
in front of those
people.
guys. Yeah.
You know, you're it's just great, intelligent, awesome people. And the chat was awesome. Next time I come on, I'll be on camera. I got a camera. And
we were all
hopefully we get some,
perplexed by your choice of picture today. It's
that's Xbox. That's Xbox Lizard. There's a backstory to that. You can ask Jez about it. And
Xbox Lizard. He's like,
yeah. Well, Phil banished Xbox Lizard, and he banished him because his name was too similar to the Lizard Squad. And if you remember, Lizard Squad was the people that hacked PlayStation.
They took down PlayStation, yeah.
So we try to get Xbox Lizard in the community, and he was unfortunately denied. But it's a funny story, and Jez just ask Jez about it, and I'll get a kick out of it. But that's the backstory to that.
Yeah. I wish I could get Jez on, but it's so late. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning for him when my show starts because he's back in Germany. But I don't know. I'll just give him some no-dos one of these times.
I love you, Colts. You're a good family man, and above all else, we talk about real things in life. We're talking about my daughter beforehand. She's broken her phone 5 times now. And you
didn't even yell at her. I was there when you were on the phone.
No,
you didn't yell at her.
No, I'm like, I said, we're not going to get a new phone though, Case. I'm like, this is costing me. It's better off just keeping her where there's no charge, and then just every time she breaks it, spend the $245. I mean, I'm literally on the 5th time she broke her phone. But that's the only thing that she really screws up in. So if that's the only thing that screws up,
if that's the worst you get, you're better than I am. My kids drive me crazy, and I still like them. I was going to see if I can. I can't find the link right now, but someone said I need to get X and C shirt. The shirt I'm wearing is on my merch. There might be a link on the channel somewhere. You'll be able to find it. But people like to try and sell their stuff, but these are the essential tees. They're like stretchy, so if they look and feel so comfortable, they're great. And they're about $18 or $19. I have them kind of the lowest you can sell them, make like a couple bucks on them. But I designed the logos and stuff, and I've got a bunch of different shirts on there. I've got one, Tim, that says "Hold this L." And it's actually I recreated down in the corner of Halo Infinite on the multiplayer mode. It says hold L to access like one of the options. And I thought that's funny because we say hold L. So I created that where it's the thumbstick L, and I said hold this L. I just throw that on there. I don't know if anybody's bought them, but I have some kind of cool shirts like that. I have some Colteastwood stuff, X and C. And then I have some game studio character ones you can give them a check out. It's on Teespring/Colteastwood. But thank you so much, everybody, who was sitting here while Tim and I talk about hanging out and wearing T-shirts. But you guys are amazing. Check out the show after the fact. And if you're here listening still on demand, you're doing that because we're on Spotify, Google, Apple, and Pocket Podcasts. So you can check out the show and listen while you're mowing the lawn. Who mows their lawn this time of year? Not me. But thank you so much, guys. We're going to get out of here and let Tim call tonight so we can hit social media early and see what fun stuff pops off tomorrow. Check out Tim on an RDX podcast tomorrow night, and we're out of here. Say bye,
Tim. Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I have a little outro, guys. So professional. All right, we're out of here.